All right, guys. So it looks like Joe Rogan pissed off Donald Trump. So why is Donald Trump mad at Joe Rogan? Well, it's because he supposedly endorsed RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That's not entirely correct. He just says he likes him better.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me.
So this clip is called "Let Me Get This Straight." Joe thought RFK was a nut job until he read his book. So he takes the word of a nut job at face value, and that's what convinces him he's not a nut job.
The only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me. He's the only one that he doesn't attack people.
Okay, he says there he doesn't attack people. He has attacked people. He has attacked Donald Trump and also Biden. I can tell you the one time, for example, is when he said that he had parasites or worms in his brain, and he said that he can debate both of them, like even still having worms in his head, right? Like that's basically saying that's how dumb they are.
Campaign, on the other hand, they heavily leaned into that brainworms thing because they know that it's going to get a bunch of attention. And he said in an official tweet, "I offer to eat 5 more brainworms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate."
He could have worms in his brain and still be more functional than than those two put together. Basically, I mean that it was funny.
He attacks actions and ideas, but he's much more reasonable and intelligent. I mean, the guy was an environmental attorney and cleaned up the East River.
I mean, you could barely understand the guy. I mean, he's probably worse to listen to than Joe Biden.
He's a legitimate guy. You know, before anybody started calling him an anti-vaxxer, which I thought he was too. I thought he was this nut, this like conspiracy theory.
I think he is somewhat of an anti-vaxxer. I don't think he's fully for all of the vaccines to be, taken off, but I think some of them he doesn't like. But for one reason or the other, because it might mess up the blood-brain barrier or some BS like that.
You're nut until I read his book. I read The Real Anthony Fauci, and I'm like, what is it? How much of this is real? Because if it's all real, this is fucking insane.
Now you can understand why he likes RFK, right? Because he's been having this grudge against Anthony Fauci for such a long time, right? He feels like he's the one that messed up the pandemic, right? Which obviously that's not true. He wasn't in charge of the government. It was, Donald Trump at the time. Joe had to put out a statement because he was just getting, basically getting bombarded by all these MAGA people saying that they don't like him, they're not going to support him, blah blah blah, they're all mad. So here's Joe Rogan's post that he wrote because he got all this backlash, right? So here's a post of Joe clarifying his position on RFK Jr. Joe Rogan, here's what he says. "For the record, this isn't an endorsement. This is me saying that I like RFK Jr. as a person, and I really appreciate the way he discusses things with civility and the intelligence. I think we could use more of that in the world. I also think Trump raising his fist and saying fight after getting shot is one of the most American fucking things of all time. I'm not the guy to get political information from. If you want that from a comic, go to comic Dave Smith. He actually knows what he's talking about." So then he throws Dave Smith under the bus there, saying, "I mean, look, guys, I'm a comic. I make jokes and I have a podcast, and sometimes I say political things. I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? Please leave me alone." Trump, I guess he didn't see this and, later went on to attack. Here's what Donald Trump said. Let me see if I can do the voice. It would be very interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed the next time he enters the UFC ring. MAGA 2024. So I guess Donald wants to see Joe get booed at the next UFC event, the next UFC pay-per-view, because those are the only ones that he does. I doubt that people are gonna boo Joe Rogan, even though like a lot of the UFC fans, a lot of MMA fans are somewhat conservative. Not all of them, but I think the majority of them are, and some of the fighters are as well too. I think that's why he put out this statement, because he knows the audience, like who they are, and every time he has gone to the UFC, he does get cheered. But like I think for the most part, I think UFC fans, MMA fans will back up Joe more than they'll back up Trump. So I don't think this is gonna work out. And some of the talking heads that are quite well known, in this political world, kind of asked the MAGA crowd to chill out. And also, I think Trump too. They told them to, stop attacking people. One of them that is, quite popular in that sector is PBD. So here's a clip of Patrick Bet David, pretty much talking to the MAGA crowd and telling them to chill out. So this clip is called PBD Rips MAGA for Going After Rogan. You think UFC's going to flip on Joe because he complimented RFK? So let's watch this clip here. It's kind of short.
MAGA and Trump community, I'm a little bit concerned, and there's a blind spot I want to bring up to you. What benefit do you get from calling out Joe Rogan for complimenting RFK? What benefit? What benefit do you get from saying, I wonder how people are going to boom at the next UFC fight when Joe Rogan walks in? Do you realize who are the only two names that have been constant the last 20 years in the UFC brand? One guy's name is Dana White, who is feared and respected. The other guy's name is Joe Rogan, who is loved, liked, and respected.
They basically put all their chips in with Trump, and whoever doesn't approve of him or approves of somebody else, they're gonna go after them because they're like sensitive, man. They can't, they don't like what's your guys' problem? It makes no sense, right? To go after a guy that's very very well liked in the conservative space.
You think UFC is going to flip on Joe because he complimented RFK on the vaccine position, that he fought Fauci and we wrote this book? You think they're going to do that? And why would you even call out Joe Rogan when Joe Rogan is friends with Dana and put Dana in a tough spot to have to defend you and Joe? And obviously he's a pro, he's a boss, he's a street guy, he's dealt with everybody. He's not going to have a problem handling that. But do you think that's the right move? And it gets me to continue thinking about this and saying, why?
That is true. Dana and Joe are really good friends. I heard that Joe in his contract has a clause where if Dana goes, he goes. So they're very, very good friends. And it is a bad thing to do because that also puts Dana in a tough spot because they're also friends. Dana and Trump are friends as well. So, that's, yeah, like, why are you going to do that? Do you guys not know? I mean, obviously they don't know, right? They don't know anything. They don't know nothing about UFC. They're just posers, right? I don't know. Like, I'm gonna unpause it.
How all this stuff is going on tonight, a lady named Kamala had a packed house in Arizona. You know who showed up? The same people that were not happy about what happened in 2022 midterms, 2 weeks before midterms, when Supreme Court flipped the Roe v. Wade abortion position and put it back on the states. And while everybody thought there was going to be a red wave, there was not a red wave. And so it seems like all the shots and mocking and making fun of her, thinking like, yeah, she can't beat you. She can beat you. 49-47 is what the number is right now, with her having the lead over you.
Yep, that's right now. It's very intense, and it looks like Trump does not like the polls, how they're coming out right now, and he's seeing Harris on top of the polls. Prior with Biden in the polls, he was not doing so well, and it looked like Trump had it in the bag there if Joe Biden could have kept going. But they told Joe, like, dude, you're too old. You didn't look good in that debate. It's time for you to go home and, have a good retirement. I agree with that too. And it's also like Trump did this and his campaign did this too. They pushed and they pushed and they pushed about Biden's age and how he's old and how he's senile. They got what they wanted, but now they don't want what they got, which is Kamala, who is very popular right now, and they don't know what to do.
And if we go the way we're going right now, and we continuously choose the wrong enemies, Joe Rogan an enemy? You know how many good things he's been saying about you the last year, 18 months? Nobody ever thought he was going to say that. What's the benefit? There is no benefit.
Yeah, that's true. Before he was a president, he was coming after Trump a lot, right? And saying how, look, he has Adderall, he has this and that.
He really tweeted that. I love Hispanics, and he's eating a taco bowl. Well, the open desk drawer, somebody focused in on it and they realized, this is like years later, they realized that it's all filled with Sudafed.
You know, I think what still kind of annoys Trump is that Joe said he'll never bring him on the JRE experience.
And did you consider having him on? Did you like weigh it? Did you think about it? Not
they
really.
kept coming back with. They wanted me to do it at the White House, and I was like,
Whoa.
Maybe this is kind of a way to get him on, like how Cat Williams talked shit about Joe, and he was like, "I'm gonna get him on, you know, see what he says." Maybe it might be the, you know, this might be his plan to try to get on Joe Rogan's podcast. And also we have another person that defends Joe Rogan, and that is his old friend Alex Jones. So let's see what Alex Jones got to say. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to play just like a minute of it, and like even less than that.
Alex Jones here to respond to the firestorm controversy of Joe Rogan supposedly endorsing RFK Jr. over Donald Trump.
the only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me. He's the only one that he doesn't attack people. He attacks actions and ideas.
Now, I'm not defending Joe right now because I've known him 25 plus years. I'm defending Joe because as populist, as conservatives, as nationalists, as free market anti-communists, whatever you want to call folks that support Trump and support what's left of America, we can't be like the left when people disagree with us on basic things in a polite way. We can't try to deplatform them and scream and yell at them and call them scumbags and call them traitors.
I think you got the wrong party. I love how they project.
At the end of the day, we're going to beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. And these people hate our children.
I don't think the leftists do a lot of crazy stuff like the Republicans do, and they try to, you know, stop you from having rights and try to control you, right? I mean, that's just me because, you know, I just see it that kind of way. You know, they want you to believe in God. They want you to believe in what they believe.
All it does is turn people off, especially when you look at the case of Joe Rogan. Joe has come so far in the last 5-6 years, exposing the poison shots, exposing the open borders, exposing the WEF, Bill Gates, the New World Order, the transgender cult, basically everything. And I know,
And he's just a comedian. Who would have thought he was this political guy, right?
for a fact, it's been Joe that's really helped wake up Elon Musk and so many others. And Joe has had a nonpartisan show. And so he's been able.
Nonpartisan show. Recently he's been very partisan. I mean, the last person he brought over was probably like Neil deGrasse Tyson and, you know, a couple of comedians that are, you know, somewhat moderate. But has he brought on somebody that can actually, you know, he can debate with or kind of like do counterpoints? Not really, right? He gets a lot of people that agree with him.
To reach a lot of liberals and a lot of leftists and have woken them up. So the fact that he's known RFK Jr. for a while, the fact that he likes him, the fact that they go out to dinner, the fact that he said, I think of the three people running, he is the most reasonable and somebody that attacks issues instead of individuals. And look, I love Trump, and I do this too. But at the end of the day, it's not the best thing to do where Trump attacks people and makes fun of them, or when the corporate media lies about Trump, he then responds every time. Because in a way, that's how they keep you off balance, talking about them instead of talking about what we're going to do.
You're aware of this recent Donald Trump speech where he talked about a bloodbath?
Oh God, yeah.
And what the actual phrase was. But see if you can find that, Jamie, because it's actually important to highlight how not just inaccurate, but
Well, yeah, this is one of the clips that I also reacted to a while back where, you know, Donald said there was going to be a bloodbath, and the guy that he was talking to, he debated Joe on it and said, like, yeah, it does sound kind of bad, bro. Like, why would he even say those words? Like,
Mexico right now, and
you're going to get tariffs. You're going to get tariffs.
car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. If this election isn't won, I'm not sure that you'll ever have another election in this country. Does that make sense? I don't think you're going to have another election in this country if we don't win this election. I don't think you.
So if Trump doesn't win this election, life as we know it ceases to exist. That's what Trump is saying, right? Or maybe I didn't really understand what he said there. That's Trump's problem too, you know. Not the best vocabulary for general audience, and also online where people can misunderstand you. Maybe you didn't want to say that, but you did, right? So that's how we're gonna take it, right? Like how the right side talks about Kamala Harris saying gibberish or whatever they did you fall out of the coconut tree, basically, right?
I want to show you just one other thing, please. Do you mind putting it up, please? Thank you.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
I'll just end it here. Let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. I thought it was kind of dumb. I mean, even everybody's telling Donald and his people to chill. Chill out, guys. God damn, you guys are too sensitive right now. You guys are on the edge right now. Why? Because of Kamala? That's what you wanted? You didn't want Biden no more? But now all of a sudden Trump wants Biden again. Please, Biden won't come back. I could beat you, but Kamala, she's kind of proven to be a way bigger threat, right? And people are just kind of going crazy about that. So I'll end this. I'll end this here, guys. I'll see you guys for another one. Like and subscribe. Comment down below, and I'll see you guys for another one. Bye bye.